Welcome, friends, to Wonderful Word Wednesday. I'm Barb Nemechek.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Nemechek. So, Barbara, this week we have a clipboard and some markers on the table. So, where are we going with this?
Well, I'm going to ask you to draw a fall tree.
Okay, that doesn't sound too hard. I can do that, although I'll tell you, art class wasn't my strong point in school.
Okay, then. Well, I want you to do it without looking.
Blindly?
Yes, blindly.
Well, that'll make it challenging. No guarantees it'll look like a tree. Maybe more impressionist looking. Okay, you get the cap.
Okay, I got that.
This is the board. I'm using a brown marker. Putting this in front of me so I can't see what I'm doing. I'm guessing at lines. Let's say this is ground. Put some lines in the trunk. Maybe some sticks for trees that fell off. And this is now orange. And these are leaves falling to the ground. Okay, I think I'm done.
Okay, why don't you look and see what you did?
Definitely impressionist.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, but it doesn't really look like a tree either. It just looks like lines. So I don't know how well you all can see that, but in any case. So why did we go through that exercise and you having me draw a tree blindly?
Well, I asked you to do this so that you can see how it feels to be blind, like the man in our Bible story today. Let's tell this story. It's found in the book of Mark, chapter 10, beginning at the 46th verse.
Okay, I believe I know that story.
Mm-hmm.
And it begins, as Jesus and his disciples were traveling one day, they came across a man named Bartimaeus. Now Bartimaeus was sitting along the side of the road, and he was begging for food, and he was blind.
When he heard that it was Jesus walking past, he yelled out, "Jesus, have mercy on me!" Some people around Bartimaeus told him to be quiet, but he didn't stop. He yelled again, "Jesus, have mercy on me!"
When Jesus heard him, he stopped, and he asked Bartimaeus to come to him. Bartimaeus was thrilled. He was so excited, he threw his coat to one side. He jumped up from where he was sitting, and he walked toward Jesus.
And Jesus asked him what it is that he wanted. And Bartimaeus said, "My teacher, let me see again." Jesus replied, "Go, your faith has made you well." And immediately Bartimaeus could see.
That's a great story.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we also need to clarify here that different versions of the Bible tell the story differently by the authors. Some say that Bartimaeus was blind from birth, while others imply that he was blind for only a part of his life. So for the sake of what we're doing right now, let's assume that once he could see and then became blind. So, having said that, there's a few things I think we need to talk about. First of all, when Bartimaeus says, "My teacher, let me see again," what stands out to you? The word that stands out to me is again. Do you know what that implies or means?
Yes, that means at one point in his life, Bartimaeus could see. Now, different theologians are not 100% sure if the man was always blind or just for a period of time in his life.
This is how life was for Bartimaeus. Earlier in his life, he could see, so he could do anything that anyone else could do. He could see where he was going, he could see what he was doing, and what everyone else was doing and seeing around them as well. Until one day that stopped and he could not.
We don't know why he stopped being able to see, but we do know it must have been really hard, just like it was really hard for you to draw a tree blindly. It was so hard that Bartimaeus had to sit on the side of the road and beg.
You know, the other thing that I noticed in the story was what Jesus said to Bartimaeus, and that was, "Go, your faith has made you well." Take notice, Jesus didn't ask him if he had followed the 10 Commandments. He didn't ask him to give away everything he had. He didn't make him promise to help other people or to go to church or to tell others about God and Jesus. Why do you think that is?
Well, Jesus would love it if everyone did all of those things. And Jesus would have loved it if Bartimaeus did those things too. But Bartimaeus didn't. I don't either. You see, no one does. That's because we all sin and do things we shouldn't do.
Unfortunate, but so true.
Mm-hmm.
God still wants us to try to be the best we can be. He does still want us to try to follow the 10 Commandments and to go to church and to tell others about Jesus. But that in itself is not going to earn a place in heaven for us. Just like it wasn't going to bring Bartimaeus' sight back to him. We still need God's grace and mercy, in addition to doing all those right things. Our faith can heal us as well.
We just need to ask God to save us, then believe He will, and try our best at everything else.
You know, there's another lesson I think that we might learn from this story. And that is, as long as God is out of focus in our lives, nothing will fill that place. Nothing can take away the pain except for God. We can't keep wearing our coats and holding our hands out, begging so that the world will fill our needs.
Mm-hmm. People who don't know Jesus carry around the emptiness of seeking validation from the world and looking for hope in the wrong places. The truth is, the world can never make you feel enough. It can never make you feel like you have worth.
You know, cell phones are a great invention and they're a wonderful tool and they do wondrous things. But our cell phones, the number of friends that we have on social media, was never meant to validate who we are, who you are. Mm-hmm. The number of likes that we get on Facebook or Instagram or other sites is never meant to be the place where we find our worth. Our Creator God defines and declares our worth, and nothing will change that.
When we have God's approval, we don't need other people's approval. We don't need others to prop us up. But sometimes we let ourselves or let something else become the center of our lives, and we allow it to take the place of God. And suddenly there is an empty place, and our vision gets a little blurry.
Much like the story of blind Bartimaeus, the things we try to use to meet our needs can't truly fulfill that space. This can be called spiritually being blind. And then before we know it, we're stuck in a never-ending cycle of chasing after things that were never meant to fill that void.
We start seeking fulfillment and validation in the wrong places. The number of likes we get defines us. Other people's opinions declare who we are. And the truth is lost beneath the weight of trying to make ourselves feel like we matter.
Blind Bartimaeus reminds us that God is always there, and sometimes, perhaps, we may have to beg Jesus so we will realize that He's always been in our life and that He is indeed the answer. He is the one that sits on the throne of our lives, not other people, not the number of likes you get on Facebook, but just God.
Mm-hmm. He is the one that makes us enough. He is the one that fulfills us. He is the one that validates us. The Lord is in this place that we can't fill on our own. Sometimes we have to recognize our needs so that we can be like blind Bartimaeus in the scriptures and we'll say, Lord, I want to see.
And with that, let us end in a word of prayer.
Dear God, thank you for always being there for us when we need help. Help us to see our value and worth as you see us. Help us to see the things that are holding us back from putting you first in our lives. Help us to remove the blinders that keep us from you and from seeing our spiritual worth.
You may add your own intentions at this point.
Amen.
Amen.
Have a great week, everyone, and remember, God is with you.
Goodbye, everyone. Until next week.